I'm not afraid to look dumb, right? So I think at the end of the day, successful business people don't necessarily have all the answers in the world. They just know how to get them.
What's up, guys? Super excited for today's episode. We have on the American dream. We have on a Russian immigrant that I'm going to cut straight to the chase. This guy has a seven-figure exit, and recently a $340 million exit to media giant Viacom, his company Pluto TV. Ilya Pozin.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Welcome, man.
Yeah, I think that we have, as far as from an age perspective, you have the most amount of exits in relation to your age as anybody that's come on yet.
Yeah.
Kudos to that.
You got to get better people on then.
We had the founder of Zappos on here, so that's pretty much a flex.
Yeah.
Did you know Tony Hsieh didn't found Zappos?
Really?
No.
Wait, that wasn't the founder of Zappos?
Was not. His name's Nick Swimmer. He low-key owns a piece. No one knows it. He low-key owns a piece of the Warriors. Like, no one knows.
Wait, what did Tony Hsieh do then?
He was the second guy.
No shit.
Yeah, he came in after, yeah.
Crazy story. But as we mentioned off camera, usually we touch on the backstory a little bit, but with you, it's super interesting because literally, you came to the U.S. As a young adult. So why don't you tell me just what it was like growing up in Russia and then when you came here?
Yeah, so I was born in St. Petersburg, Russia. I was 8 years old. My family moved here. They both had amazing jobs, great careers, but they wanted a better life for myself and my brother. And I went through, I think, first grade and second grade in Russia, and it was, from what I remember, it was fine and normal. But my family knew that there was a better opportunity for us in the U.S., and they literally sold everything they had in their pocket. They had $5,000 to their name. We moved to the U.S., and these are two, parents with master's degrees and like real careers, and then they started completely over because they didn't know a word of English. My dad started repairing coffee machines. He was like an ice skating guard at like an ice rink, and I started delivering like newspapers around, and I think that's where like really the natural hustle came about, and they started working really hard and started to learn English. I started to learn English.
What was that like coming here? And I can't even imagine. Sometimes people make fun of people with broken accents, and I'm like, they're actually super intelligent because that's their second language. They're going to know two languages while we've mastered one. So what's that like when you arrive here and you don't even speak the language? Like, did you get absolutely crushed? What was the learning curve? I'm very curious.
It was hard. Imagine going into school. Like I went right into third grade. Like you have literally no friends. You have no idea how to make friends because you can't talk to people. So I'm like taking ESL, which helps teach you English, and literally going to class barely like understanding what the teachers say, and then I go home and watch TV. And actually, from watching a lot of TV and a lot of cartoons is where I started to pick up a lot of stuff. And I think. If you come to another country before you're 12, or if you learn another language before you're 12, you really master it in a different way. Usually, you don't have an accent, but after 12, you likely will have an accent.
Yeah, I'm always curious. So like when like your parents came over here, like did they have a plan on like, okay, we're gonna sell all of our stuff and then we're gonna go to America and our plan is to do this, or was it just like let's sell all of our stuff and we're just gonna go figure it out?
They knew we wanted to move to like the DC area. We moved to Maryland just because we had some sort of family here. But there was no plan. Like there was you couldn't really make a plan. They just knew it was a better world, and they had to start over essentially. Like literally get rid of all your lives that you knew, all your friends, and move to a new place.
Do you know what's crazy is one of my buddies, he was born in the Czech, and he came when he was 14, and he had the same situation that you had coming over, and it actually was advantageous for him because then he was almost forced to almost hibernate, and then he started learning tech skills because he wasn't social, he didn't have friends, so he almost was cornered into doing that, and now he's a huge tech guy.
Yeah.
So since you didn't have the friends, did that kind of alienate you? But did you also just start educating yourself?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what happened. So
Yeah.
when I think when I was 11 or 12, somebody donated to us this like Osborne computer that you can now find in the Smithsonian Museum. It's like this old computer, giant box with a keyboard that you fold over, and like everything was on these giant floppy disks, right? So, and there was like BASIC, which is like a programming language, chess, and like Space Invaders, and that's all it had. But that literally became my best friend. And I just became like, from that moment forward, just became a huge computer nerd. And that's like where like really I went in. And then in addition, my grandfather was a big chess player, right? And I started to learn chess and play a lot of chess. And those are like
I
just,
see, guys. I see what's going on with this piece now. Okay.
what piece? That piece?
Yeah. He
but
picked chess, not checkers, for audio listeners.
But that's like, I've been playing chess, you know, my whole childhood. I got to a competitive level, right? And so between chess and computers, that's really where my life was. And probably those two things together don't really, you know, help make friends either. But, you know, when you don't know how to, you know, speak the language that everyone speaks in the country, you try to find some hobbies that you can kind of do independently.
Quick halt, because I've actually never played chess before, only checkers. What does chess do for you from like a strategy and mindset perspective? Does it make you a better life strategist, business strategist? Like what does it do for you?
So the way you win in chess is you anticipate the other person's move, but not just one move ahead, but multiple moves ahead, right? So, and that's no different than like in life and in business. You try to, anytime you come up with an idea or you execute something, you try to understand how are people going to react to it, right? But then you don't just think linearly, right? Checkers is more like you make a move, someone moves back. You make a move, someone. When you're playing chess, the smartest people, the ones who are winning, there are grandmasters. They've played almost 8, 9, 10, maybe 11, 12 moves already, like back and forth.
Yeah,
like
I
if I
can't
do
do
this,
that, yeah.
they do this. But then if I do this, they have 3 options, right?
It's all the variants to the different levels.
Right, but what if they do that and that and that? And all the variations, like there's probably like 60, 70, 80 combinations, and they're able to compute all those almost organically, naturally in their mind, right?
So is there a lot of math involved to like anticipating these moves, like percentage of them doing this or not?
I don't think it's math. I think it's more like pattern recognition and just knowing if I was the other player, what would I do, right? And same thing in business, right? It's the same. Like if I do
Cause and
this,
effect, basically.
Yeah, but imagine cause and effect that spirals out exponentially and goes into so many different permutations. But imagine you get to a level where you have such good pattern recognition that it almost comes naturally without like almost like speaking a language without even thinking, right? And I think that's the level where I got to, especially because of my first company, Plus Chess. It gave me such great pattern recognition. So when I think of like how do I do this, and I process all the different solutions, right, and all the different possible like things that could go wrong with that, it happens all in like a microsecond.
I think my nephew's going to play chess. I like how that
Sure.
sounds. I like it. Okay, so let's talk about 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 in that pocket. You've kind of settled down. I assume that you know English at that point.
Yeah.
What's going on from a life perspective and a business perspective?
So in life, I'm just, you know, I'm finally developing, like I have friends and stuff like that, but still not at a great level. You know, chess players and computer nerds don't really have a lot of girls and aren't like super social. But, you know, we, when I was about 15, there used to be the store called CompUSA. I don't know if you remember, but it was like
I do.
They
All my
sold-
buddies work there.
Yeah, so I worked there, and I was quickly the go-to guy when like somebody didn't know an answer. Like go to Ilya. And one day, this guy named Tom Antion walks in with a list of questions, and everyone said go to Ilya for answers. And I answered his questions. He didn't actually care for the answers, and he slipped me a piece of paper, said, "Come work for me. I'll double whatever you're making here." And it was definitely a risk, but I took the opportunity. I looked him up. He was like an internet marketing coach and like a big public speaker. And I took a job with him, and he wanted me to be his right hand. And he's like, "Look, I can mentor you." And when I walked into his office, he actually worked out of his home. And the first thing he said is, "Look, I can hire you as an employee, right? Or I can help you start your own business. You could be a sole proprietor. I'll teach you how to like create a company, pay taxes, and I'll be one of your clients, and you can have other clients as well. And I'll teach you how to be an entrepreneur." And this happened when I was 15. Wow.
I never heard of anyone take that approach. Have you? Like instead of employment, that's an interesting.
God bless this guy.
I mean, if that didn't happen, the path could have completely changed, right? So, of course, I said, like teach me everything how to be a business. Because that's one thing I knew about America that you couldn't do in Russia is like run your own company, right? And I
So
said,
you're learning core business principles at 15.
yeah, from this guy. And what he's doing, the beautiful thing is he is teaching, he's like a public speaker and internet marketing coach. So he's teaching other people who own businesses how to blow up their business online.
I mean, and you were learning by doing, so you're that learning curve is exponentially getting.
So he's teaching me and he's teaching others, and I'm sitting right there, and I'm getting such an influx of information.
The systems and structures are real because he's that's his business. Is selling those systems.
Yeah. So in the meantime, I'm still doing like side stuff like building computers and things like that. But then, when I was about 17, people started. This was like '99, and people started asking me for websites.
This guy looks good. Late 30s?
Yeah,
Let's go.
37.
Let's go.
So people started asking me how to build a website, right? And they wanted a website for their business. And naturally, because I'm a computer guy, they came to me. I didn't know a thing about building websites. And I still actually don't to this day. But I hired a friend that was a developer, another friend that was a designer. And I just saw an opportunity thanks to my mentor, Tom. He's like, look, if you see an opportunity, go after it. I saw an opportunity. I created a new company called Cyplex, and this company's still around today, and ended up doing websites and different apps and stuff for people from there forward through college for the next 12, 13 years.
And this is when like HTML was the move, right?
Oh yeah, this was like basic when people had like Microsoft Front Page and Dreamweaver. I don't know if you remember those days,
remember
but it was like
Dreamweaver.
super basic. Everyone was still in AOL dialing up, and you got that CD for 10,000 free hours, and those are the websites.
I used to collect those for some reason.
Coasters. They make great coasters.
Yeah.
So the more stories I hear like this, the more I have a very aggressive stance on this. I want to know your opinion. School, yes or no for your kids?
Yeah, I mean, look.
And let's go from a high school context and a college context, because you're fucking 15 and you're out here like slanging businesses. So.
Yeah. So my parents were super scared of me going down this entrepreneurial path because their vision was go get a regular job at a big corporation, get a 3% annual raise or whatever, and just this is the job. This is why we came to America, for this job security, right? And I'm here running my own businesses, and in high school, I told them, I was like, I don't really want to go to college. I already have a successful company. They're like, you have to go to school. So I ended up visiting a friend of mine who went to Florida State in Tallahassee, and back then it was like 3 guys to every girl ratio.
Ilya's a fucking rager if you went to Florida State. That's like Arizona State, Florida State.
Yeah.
You were going on.
It was a fun school. So I went to visit him. I said, look, if I'm not going to go to school for, really, like if I'm going to appease my parents, and at least I'll have some fun with it, right? So I went there. There was 3 girls to every guy ratio. And I figured, you know what? Even a computer nerd and a chess player, I could be the last guy in a bar, and there would still be statistically 3 girls left, right? So I ended up going there.
I have a question. You seem like a very confident guy. Were you not confident?
Oh no, not at all.
No?
Like that's what that college did, is literally like develop socially, because I couldn't speak to anybody with long hair at that point at all.
So are you sending your kids to school? Yes or no?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That seems fucking backwards. Why can't you just be their Tom?
Because there are like, but I could still be their Tom, but I think people still need to go through school for all sorts of reasons, right? Like I think one is, networking. We have to be really good at being able to make friends, right? And meet people and be approachable and likable. And I think high school alone isn't enough to do that. And throwing yourself into the real world at 18, I think is not, you don't have enough ability.
Do you think though, the way we're moving, that's going to become least or less relevant?
I think it depends, like, I guess, who you are as a person and how you come out of. But I still think school is very important for developing just a person. It's just, when you're 18, you're still growing, right? And you still need that level of interaction. You can meet a lot of people. And there are a lot of people you may meet in college that will become helpful to you in your future, right? And I think college helps you learn those kind of abilities right out the gate. And I think, for me, I'm not the smartest person. I'm not necessarily book smart. I'm not a great test taker, but what I do know is I know what I know and I know what I don't know, right? And being able to build a large network of people, right? You're able to, when you don't know something, you know how to get to the answer, right? So I think, like, at the end of the day, successful business people don't necessarily have all the answers in the world. They just know how to get them.
Well, I do think that school isn't good for people who are already self-aware. I think I know a lot of friends that didn't know what they wanted to be. They have no idea. And I think school is great for that because it allows you to taste a lot of things, interact with a lot of people, and it just kind of accelerates that growth and to figure out what you want to do. But like I feel like you kind of knew what you wanted to do, I think. And so did I when I wanted to be an artist. So like I didn't necessarily need, I guess, college, but like that's why I think self-awareness is a huge play into why you should go to college.
I mean, I think if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's not the degree doesn't necessarily matter, right?
No.
Like I think,
Or the fucking GPA.
yeah, or the GPA, unless you're
GPA?
going down.
What was your GPA?
When I actually in college, I was at like a 3.6, but high school I barely had a 3.0.
Almost doubled me.
Yeah.
Impressive.
College to me was easy. I think going like our high school in Maryland was top 20 in the country. All my friends went to like Harvard and MIT and Yale.
Where in Maryland?
In Potomac, Maryland, Rockville, Maryland.
Nice. My buddy grew up in Annapolis. I went to University of Delaware. So I was in that whole pocket. So I want to go back into just let's just frame up your business career. So let's go to Cyplex. So it's still going on now. As I mentioned, when I saw you had a couple exits. So tell me a little bit about the life of Cyplex and how it transitioned into the next thing.
Yeah, so it was always like a side gig building websites and apps, right? I started in high school, went through college, and then eventually after college I moved to LA. And I started, and I turned it into a real business. I actually used SEO, search engine optimization, to put the company on a map. And I quickly became the #1 result when you Googled like LA web design, LA app development, web development. We were #1, and our phone was ringing like 15 to 20 times a day for people that wanted our business. And organically, I ended up hiring salespeople, project managers, designers, developers, and built out a full team to be like a service-based company. So we would pick and choose the projects we wanted to work on. A lot of them were startups. A lot of them were like a movie theater website, like we did the ArcLight Cinemas website, right? All the way to, maybe like a lawyer website or a dentist, right? And we did about 300 projects a year. And I did that for about 10 years. So over those 10 years, I literally sat and built over 3,000 projects, like 400 e-commerce sites, hundreds of startups, right? And we managed over $10 million a month in marketing spend. So
you guys were doing paid acquisition as well?
Yeah, we were like start to finish, full circle, right, for a business. And my interest wasn't like, what color should I pick for this button? I was literally inundated with all this data from, I wanted to know, like a dentist came to us, I wanted to learn, how does a dentist practice work, right? A dating app came to us, I wanted to learn how do we acquire users? How do we make revenue on the users? What's the lifetime value, right? And essentially I was using other people's money to help and grow their businesses and make them more successful. But what I was doing for myself was creating this, like similar to chess, an insane amount of data flow and pattern recognition. And it came to a point where, like, I think that company alone, like plus my like experience growing up with chess is the reason I'm able to build successful businesses now, because now like
the sample set is so big.
There's just so much data that I have. So my level of pattern recognition of like how are consumers going to react when I put this in front of them.
I was going to say that's probably huge on user behavior. And I know we'll get into it with your business now, but I noticed that was a huge play into your UI UX right now. And the reason why you decided to build a business.
Yeah, that's everything. So I always give this example where like for about 3 months in college, I actually worked at Best Buy, and we would go over.
Always fucking up Best Buy and CompUSA. All the iconic.
All the icon. And on Tuesday they would go over Tuesday's numbers, and we did $122,000 in sales. Next Tuesday, $122,000, like 300 in sales. The variance was so small, and it blew my mind. Like, how many $10 CDs do you have to sell, right, to hit 122,000 every fucking Tuesday?
Yeah.
And that's when I started to look at the world in a very different way, that everything is way more of a pattern and a math problem than I think people realize, right? And when you start to understand that, like zoom out from like emotional reactions and look at how, like at the end of the day, there's such statistical significance in everything we do that you could, with enough data, accurately predict
anything. Yep. Yeah, I remember, even in the beginning of the company, Jeff would get super angry over days where, we'd have one day where we had low revenue, but you can't look at it from a day-to-day perspective. You have to look at it year over year for, minimum 2 weeks and start going more macro.
Yeah.
I want to talk about curiosity though, because I think that's the #1 most important trait in any, there's different types of entrepreneurs, but I think with a company, the lead entrepreneur that needs to navigate, all the problems and figure out the solutions, I think curiosity is the #1 most important thing. What's your whole entire thoughts on that? Because right now you're telling me about your web company. It seems like the number one thing was just curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, I think curiosity is huge. You have to like look, like you turn every stone, look at every corner, right? And if you don't, you're just going to miss opportunities. So to me, it always came naturally because of all these patterns. Like I always, like even like I'm working on 4 different startups right now, but they all came from me being inquisitive and trying to figure out what's broken, like look for an opportunity in the market. So I think that's like a natural ability.
Try as much shit as possible early in the game, guys. Then you could just take those things and bring it to the new shit. So how recent did you sell that company?
Which one? Cyplex?
Yep.
So Cyplex rebranded as Coplex. I sold it, I think it was like in 2012. And I'm still involved today. I'm still like an active advisor. They've now pivoted to essentially a startup incubator where they take either their own ideas or ideas from like corporations or, you know, individuals that are experts in a specific industry, and they take equity in the company and they build them into successful startups. So we saw that over the years that I've ran the company, we did like, you know, work for hire normal projects, but we also made a lot of startups successful. So now they're taking equity upside in those companies, and it's working. Like literally, like most people know that a napkin idea fails 98% of the time. They've had an over 50% success rate of companies going to like either funding or like a nice revenue stream for the founders.
The day the wire hit, do you remember the day, the time, what it felt
yeah.
like? Tell us about that moment.
For sure. You mean on that company?
Yeah.
Or I mean, that was...
Oh, we're going to get to the last company because that was a whole other fucking different field that we're definitely going to get into.
So, I mean...
Tell me about the first one, though.
Yeah, so the first one was a different feeling because I wanted to get out, right? So when you're in the client-based business, when you're like servicing people, whether you're a plumber...
fucking business in
or
the
a
world.
lawyer, or it doesn't matter what it is, right? You have clients. At a certain point, it starts to get very repetitive and mundane. It doesn't matter if you're a startup or a billionaire or like, it all becomes the same. And you start seeing the same shit come from every direction. And it just got tiring, right? And I think also at that point, I've already collected all the data. Nothing was really challenging me. So the CEO that I brought in at that point coincidentally said, look, what if I buy the company from you? I said, that's perfect because I want to, like, I have my own startup bug and I want to start my own thing. And so, so he bought it, and it was less about the money and the wire. It was more about the relief of like, all right, here's my next chapter. Because I was doing this thing for so long that now I feel like I'm like a pro and I'm ready to conquer the next category.
Do you agree once you get one calculated exit? Like for me, you know, I always bet on the entrepreneur, not the concept. My thing is once you win once, I feel like just the likelihood of you winning in the next one, like 10x's.
100%.
Yeah.
There's no question. Yeah. And even especially like when I see so many like people pitching me different business ideas, and the first thing you look at, like, stop for a second, tell me about you, you know, because their background, the idea is almost worthless because there's probably like 20, 30 people that literally have the same idea at that exact time. And people don't realize, they try to protect it and be like, sign this NDA. Be like, I don't give a shit about your NDA. Like, I want to know how well you're going to execute on the idea.
So what do you
This
look
guy's
for?
dropping fucking gems right now.
What do you look for in a person like that? Because for me, I have some things, but like,
Number one thing,
yeah,
self-awareness.
Yeah,
without question, by like leaps ahead of everything else. Because if you've got an ego, you're fucked, right? If you don't know what you don't know, you're fucked. Like, you have to really understand, look, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. Because I understand my weaknesses, I'm going to build a team around me to complement my weaknesses. A lot of people make the mistake of not realizing what their weaknesses are, and then they end up bringing employees or partners that just side with their vision, right? And then, because now you have a bunch of people that just agree with you all day. You don't want people that agree with you all day. You want people that challenge you all the time, and you have to be open to those challenges.
To me, that was, I think, when me and Mark were discussing partnership, that was our number one, is obviously self-awareness from
it's a yin yang. It has to complete. Like, right, it has to be a perfect team that makes it work.
Yeah, a second grader is better at executing probably 40% of life activities than me. And I know what I suck at for sure, but there's 3 or 4 things in this world that I'll fucking dominate anybody. So self-awareness, guys, 100% agree. So I want to go back and forth a little bit on this because we're kind of building the perfect entrepreneur. So let's just say self-awareness is first. We talked about curiosity. I think that's very important. For us, the biggest thing, one of our 6 core values is outwork everyone. Work ethic, we think, is if you don't have work ethic, then you're just going to fucking lose.
Yeah.
Why don't you drop another gem on us? So we got self-awareness, curiosity, work ethic? What's another one you think is important?
I think I mentioned this before. I think ability to network, right, and be likable is key, because once you have your self-awareness, you know you need to fill those holes with a great team, right? And in order to attract like rock stars, right, like A players in those categories, like you need the best CFO, right? You need the best CTO. They have to come work for you, and they have plenty of other opportunities, because once you're at that level, you have a lot of opportunities. So in order to bring them and attract them to work and believe in you and your idea and your company, you have to be likable. You have to be able to communicate properly. So I think like communication, likability, and just ability to go out there and like navigate the world, I think is key.
I love it. You don't hear that one often enough. We always do say that.
Yeah,
people do
we
business
actually
with
almost
people.
put that into the core values, but it was kind of like a weird, like we have to like you, or like we have to want to be around you. But
If we don't like you, get the fuck out of this office.
kinda
That's how we operate.
We wouldn't be like having an interview with you if we didn't like you, you know. So yeah.
But I think it's less about just like liking somebody. I mean, it's more like, how do you, let's say you have this unknown, right? This problem that you need to solve, and you have no idea how to do it on your own, and you have to find somebody that knows. So how do you navigate the world in order to find those people? And you can Google search maybe, but if it was that easy, then everybody would just do it. You probably have to somehow get, to somebody that knows somebody. And in order to do that, in order to be introduced to people of the highest caliber, you have to know how to work that way.
He's kind of fucking me up a little bit on, like, I always say that intelligence over network, but you're starting to make me paint a different picture here.
I'm not intelligent. Like I don't think it's.
Well, I think, like you
that.
said, it's a yin and a yang. I think if you have that, it's the same thing. Like
intelligence, a lot of
same
forms.
with
Being self-aware is
with you
is
and
intelligent.
I mean,
Florida State didn't even let me in right away. I had to go to a community college before to transfer in. Like, and now I'm like 30 under 30 there. They're asking me to speak at their, like president's box, whatever. You know what I mean? It's very different. I think if you go based on education and intelligence and your ability to take tests and all that, you find very different caliber of people. Usually those people end up at just regular corporate jobs. It's the ones that are bad test takers, that ones that don't necessarily navigate through life in the easiest way, like are the ones and who have to fight and figure out how do I still need to get to here. How do I do it? That's where I found myself, right? Because I didn't know the answer, but I still had to get there.
All right. So next project. So you flip it, get a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You're out from a company that you wanted to get rid of.
Yeah.
What's
and
next?
then so coming from that SEO world, this was before like Google got rid of SEO essentially. I started to I wanted to look for another idea, and a buddy of mine owned a bunch of domain names, and one of those domain names was happybirthday.com. And I looked at that domain name and I said, look, I can figure out something to do with it. Maybe I can launch like a gifting company, a greeting card company. Why don't I partner with you? I'll give me that, because that domain name was like selling for millions of dollars. So like, I'm not going to buy it from you, but I'll give you a piece of the company and I'll partner with you. Fast forward, the partnership never ended up working because he wanted too much equity for just a domain name. So I ended up just using a different name called openme.com. But I still stuck with this idea for some reason, just like I wanted to build a gifting and greeting card company.
Hopefully that motherfucker's listening right now.
Yeah.
Continue.
And then there was this company in Chicago called Threadless. Yep. And Threadless is like a massive crowdsourced design community of 300,000 plus artists. And I love their business model because they create products that naturally people want to buy because they hold a competition, a contest. Like we need something with SpongeBob, and then people submit ideas, and then the best winners, they get a prize. But naturally, because of that voting process, the winners are the ones people are actually going to buy, like most likely. So I said, why don't I partner with Threadless, take their designs, their best designs that they put on T-shirts, and let's put them on greeting cards and e-cards, and use that as a gateway to get into gifting. So I ended up partnering with Threadless in Chicago and launching a greeting card, e-card, and gifting company with them, and grew it to millions and millions of users, and then ended up selling that company.
Let's get a little bit more granular. What does a deal look like with that? Is it a licensing deal? Do you own the IP? Do they?
So
own
that
the
was a
IP?
partnership deal where they had equity and on like a liquidation. So when we got paid out, they got paid out type of deal.
Interesting. Yeah. So let's, just structuring that deal alone, that's something that I always ask. I tell my team that, if you ever, hear me, if they're listening to this podcast or they hear me in a business meeting, if you guys have questions, ask me after. And Dylan, one of my guys, he always asks me about business structure.
Yeah.
That's something I think it's very hard to learn that. I think a lot of it's experience, but Obviously, you're a very smart guy. So I want to talk about just learning right now. How do you get smarter? Are you reading books? Are you listening to podcasts?
Not
Experience?
really. I talk to people.
Talk to people.
I really talk to people, and if I don't know finance, I go talk to somebody in finance, and I'm not afraid to look dumb. Like if like
Let's
you know,
go.
yeah, like not afraid.
I can look really fucking dumb.
I'm not
good at
afraid.
that.
Like so, like if I'll ask stupid questions, I don't care if it makes me look stupid because I want to understand how everything
I
works.
kind of like that as a piece. Don't be afraid to look dumb. Something like that. That's good.
You better say that quiet. He might want to rip on that. This guy's savvy over here. Keep that low. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, so flip that, and now it's the big show, right?
Yeah. So
Pluto's
actually,
next?
yeah. So Pluto's next, and
How old are you now?
I'm 30. I think 30. Yeah.
You're 30 years old. You've had 2 exits, medium to small 7-figure exits.
Yeah.
What are you feeling like? Are you 1,000% motivated?
Yeah.
Are you?
I mean, I'm motivated. You know, the second company was a great exit. The first company was a great exit, but I feel like I've got way more in the bag. And I wanted to go for something big. And
Where does that confidence come from?
I don't know. I think it's less confidence. It's more hustle, right? I think because my family immigrated here and they're looking for this pursuit of a better life and this American dream, I always had it in me to like make sure that I give them that, right? And I want to say thank you, like for bringing us here. And like, it was more about a hustle. Tom was, who's my partner at Pluto, was actually the CEO.
Wait, is Tom the original OG? That was your mentor?
No, different Tom.
Oh, different.
Another
I was
Tom.
gonna say that guy's fucking
That'd be
Hall,
awesome,
Hall
right?
of Famer.
No, but Tom Ryan was the CEO of Threadless in Chicago. And he was moving down to LA, then leaving Threadless. And at that point, I came up with an idea for Pluto. So I was actually on my computer working, and I had my 2-year-old daughter in my lap, and I was picking out YouTube videos for her. And literally, I just learned how to change diapers, and I was by no means an expert of children's video. And I knew when she was in front of regular TV, like, you know, watching Disney or Nickelodeon, she would watch for hours. But when I started picking out videos for her, I would get it wrong half the time. She would like tune out, or I would pick something maybe completely inappropriate that shouldn't have played for her. And that's when the idea sparked. Is I saw like a real problem where how come everything on the internet when it came to video is like search, right? Because search is really good if you know what you're looking for. But at that point, I didn't know what I was looking for, right?
Yeah.
And I said, where's that TV experience online? And that's when the idea sparked, and I built a prototype using some of my money from my exit. I just hired a couple guys on Elance, like on Odesk.
Elance and Odesk guys is just basically inexpensive outsource, predominantly tech.
There are
right?
literally hundreds of thousands of, or if not millions of various freelancers, designers, developers, marketers, accountants, business people. You can literally, if you have an idea, you don't have to go hire somebody. You don't have to go partner. You can literally say, here's 40 hours, $25 an hour, do this for me, you know? And it's one of the best places to validate an idea because you don't have to go out and raise capital and figure it out. Just like get a little more data, prove it. So I put a little bit of money in, and I built the prototype. What I did is I took YouTube videos, and I removed control. So no fast forward, no rewind, no pause, and I created channels. So instead of a bunch of different videos, I said, let's create a stand-up comedy channel, right?
And it's just curated multiple episodes,
Yeah.
one way through.
And just like traditional TV, I put it like there's a guide. You pick a channel, and if it's 8 o'clock, whatever's on is on. And if you're halfway through a stand-up comedy clip, then you start halfway through and you can't start from the beginning. I literally just dumbed it down and went to basic television.
You know what's so funny about this is like perfect for, it's idiot proof for like all my buddies that are young fathers that like, they don't know. I always ask them about like, you know, what are the new like intellectual properties for children? They tell me all this. I know like Little Pony. I don't know about the new shit. So yeah, you had no idea.
Yeah, but I had from that pattern recognition and understanding how consumers work. What I did know is people don't want to work. There's no way that people come home and they just start like searching YouTube videos all day. The average person, maybe like people in the industry do, but if you zoom out and look at the average person, there's no way they're just sitting there and browsing the internet all day. They want to be curated to, right? And there's paradox of choice. It's like going to a restaurant and there's a giant menu. You ask the waiter, like, what do you recommend? Like, we feel like we want this choice, but when we're given the choice, we actually don't know what to do with it. If you look at music, same thing, right? Like, so we've had the choice of any song, anytime, anywhere since the days of Napster. Like literally, like everything is a keyword away. But 88% of music consumption today still is radio. and playlists, right? AM, FM, XM, and literally you start a song and it keeps going on a playlist basis. Even though we can pick and choose everything we want, we don't want that choice in most cases. So
was that case study in your deck to raise money right there? That's a good one.
might have been.
That's a good one right there.
So,
that's a good stat.
But looking at that behavior, I knew I wasn't the only one that didn't want to do the searching. So I created a prototype for Pluto where, I hired somebody who's a comedian to make the best comedy channels and somebody who's a news junkie to make the best news channels. And I put it out there and I drove some users to it, right? And what I saw right out the gate was insane because the average person watched 26 videos back to back in one session, in one sitting. And at that point, YouTube made their data public. On YouTube, it was 1.2. So I had 26 right out the gate and they had 1.2. Yeah. From there, I knew that this was serious. And I went to Tom, who just moved to LA, who isn't like ready to jump into the next startup. And I said, Tom, I got to show you something. And I showed him the prototype. He's like, wow, this is really cool, but I'm not ready to jump into it. I was like, Tom, like, you're a media guy, because he came from music. He knew that whole world. For my last company, I've never raised capital before, but for OpenMe, I raised $500,000. That's it. Tom has raised a ton of money, super experienced, very successful entrepreneur, multiple exits. I was like, Tom, I need to partner with you. We need to run this. This is going to be a big thing. After a couple months of convincing him, he finally came on board. We became co-founders. He became the CEO of the company. This comes to that self-awareness. Even though it was my idea and I could have just ran with it on my own, I knew that this was an opportunity to become a massive media company. And I had no experience in raising the amount of capital necessary to run that capital and no experience running a team big enough to run a bit like what it could have been. And no experience in running a successful like media company overall. So I said, Tom, come in. I need you to run this. Like, we're going to be great partners. I'll handle product and marketing because that's what I know. You'll be the CEO and handle like the hard stuff. We partnered. We raised capital. At first, capital was so hard to raise. Every single person was literally saying no because everything on the internet was going paid and on demand, and Pluto was free and linear, right? So it was like Pluto was building something that existed on TV 30, 40 years ago, and every single investor was like, what are you doing? This is like so backwards. And we kept trying to prove to them, like, it might look backwards like from where the industry is going, but not backwards from what consumers actually
or
do.
the metrics. Jeez.
Yeah. But the consumers don't want to work. When you don't know what you're looking for, on demand is horrible, right? We've all sat in front of Netflix for 45 minutes trying to figure out what the fuck to watch, only like to give up or watch something stupid and then start over. But the best experience is when you come, like imagine you're a regular 9 to 5 person. You've worked all day. You're tired. You come home, you turn on the TV, and you don't want to pick and choose. You don't want to keep working. You just want to put on like HDTV and watch some like Property Brothers, you know what I mean? Or something like that. And that was a common behavior. That's what Pluto was. So finally we convinced a big VC in Silicon Valley to take a bet on us. And the reason, this goes back to your reputation and who you know and your ability to be likable. The only reason they invested was because Tom and this investor were on the board of Trunk Club. And the guy said, look,
9-figure exit, Trunk Club.
So they said, whatever you work on, I'll be behind. And they ended up backing us, not because of the idea or me, they didn't even know me, but because of Tom. But once that one like validation came, and once we got vouched by this VC, everything turned around. Everyone started knocking on our doors. All the no's turned to yeses, and we couldn't, like, it was hard to keep people away. And we got really lucky, and we got to pick and choose the right investors for our company.
Question for you. So it seems like, especially from that immigrant background, I feel like that, the general psychology in your head is, if you put $1 in, you need to make at least $1.01 out. You need to make money. All of your companies, I would assume, were profitable. And then you go into this company, which is tech heavy. You're raising a shit ton of money. I assume you guys were losing money.
Yeah.
What was that like? Shifting the model from let's make money every day to holy shit, we're 8 figures in debt right now.
Yeah, I think it was completely normal because when you're sitting in boardrooms and your business is growing, your investors don't actually want you to get to profitability because your profitability, when you're trying to become profitable, that means you're almost like stopping innovation. You're optimizing okay, let's get rid of some employees because there's too much overhead, and your innovation goes out the door, right? And then that's when your competitors catch up. So a lot
And you could be alienating your fan base because you're diluting the product.
a lot of companies, major companies from even the Amazons of the world, at like very large points where they're making billions and billions of dollars, were not profitable at that point. And still a lot of companies they're worth tens of billions of dollars today, still not profitable, right? So profitability is, I think, is important when you're not venture backed, right? And it's almost like a lifestyle business for you, and you need to be sustainable. But if you have good investors behind you, like good investors, they shouldn't be focused on making your company profitable if you're growing, right? And if you're growing like bonkers, it's the other way. Like your valuation keeps going up, so you keep raising more capital. So the cost of capital is you're still giving up equity, but not as much. And you keep going, and as long as you're growing, they shouldn't be like pigeonhole you to be profitable.
How important is momentum?
Huge. I mean, I think these days it's bigger than anything because, like, where tech is, ideas are less important because, like, remember, like, Periscope and Meerkat and those days where, like,
Is Periscope even around anymore?
But that's the point is, one launched and then 3 months later there was a copycat. You know, what I'm getting at is your like first mover advantage used to be not as important, right? We all remember like Friendster and then MySpace and then Facebook came along, right? And those other companies almost gave an example of what worked and didn't for Facebook to do right. These days, everything is more of a commodity and it could be copied so quickly that like first mover advantage and momentum is critical so that you always stay ahead of your competition, right? And that's why you don't want to focus on profitability because then you're just going to get out innovated.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, that was a good answer.
I always say
ride the wave.
I always say he who has the most money wins too. In this market, if you have a lot of money, you could outspend somebody on paid acquisition.
You could if your business model works, right? Like if you figured out your customer acquisition, like at the end of the day, if you look at any business, and maybe this is too in the weeds, but if you look at any business, there's your customer acquisition cost, which is what does it cost to acquire a customer, and then your customer lifetime value, which is how much are you going to make from that customer over their life of being a customer. And if you can get those two things to work, then you spend as much money as possible.
And
right?
you could lose money on the first sale.
Yeah. You could lose money, but as long as you have enough money in the bank to sustain and wait for the second sale. The rule of thumb I've always built startups around is that you want the customer acquisition cost to be paid back within 3 months, right? So, because if you wait 6 months, 12 months, it becomes really hard to sustain. You have to have a lot of cash. You can't go out there and spend $10 million and wait for that to come back in a year, right? Unless you have a lot of money in the bank. So the rule of thumb is if you can crack the code on that model and make it work within 90 days, then you should pour as much money as possible to scale, and it's going to work.
I like that. I've never heard the 3-month model before. Yeah. Interesting. So what year did you start Pluto and when was the exit?
I think it was 2013. It was in April. We started building it and we launched in April 2014.
And then the exit was what, last year?
The exit was about March, April of last year. So yeah, so it was about 5 years of it being live and 6 years if you look at the year we took to build it.
So let's dive into just those 5 or 6 years. I just want to ask a couple questions there. Let's talk about just big learning lessons. What would you say was the biggest learning lesson in those 4, 5, 6 years as you were building it? Because I mean, you build a media giant.
So I think the same problem we had of a lot of our early investors didn't want to bet on us because it looked like we're like an old TV guide and we're free and with ads, right? And when you look at the people who are working at Pluto, they're not necessarily the people using Pluto. And that's one of the hardest things, both as so I like to build, I didn't even watch a lot of TV. I still don't watch a lot of TV yet. I built a TV company that a lot of people watch. And the reason it worked is because I don't look at myself. I don't build startups for myself. I'm looking at how the consumer behaves. But we face the same challenges with our own employees that we hired, right? Like the designers and developers are, they're like, we don't like ads. So let's like, why do we need to use this like old school TV guide? Let's change it and try to make it innovative. And it was it's very challenging to be able to manage people and say, no, stick to this because you want to give people autonomy. But at the same time, you want to stay to your vision. And I always use Tesla as an example. Tesla is a company, it's a car, right? A grandma who's never driven it can get into it and drive. But it's still forward thinking, future, and it works, and it's a very successful company. Pluto was like a similar vision where don't reinvent the wheel, guys, right? Like we've watched TV for decades. Don't try to innovate how we watch TV. All we're doing is putting TV on the internet, right? Like we're now, the vision was we're going to start watching TV through apps, which we do, right? We use Roku and smart TVs but don't change it. People already know how to do it. Just build it.
It's funny you mentioned that because Tesla, he made a car back in the day that didn't need gas. It would just run on solar. And he got crucified for that because they wanted, the gas tank to run out. And it reminds me of like when YouTube ads, or YouTube videos you watch and you have to pick another one. You have to go find. So you keep having to go find and find. And your platform is just self-sustaining where they kind of just tell you what. So there's like similarities in that aspect.
And like another example of that, because, most designers and developers, they're all on Apple, right? So everyone has an iPhone. But 70% of the US has an Android. And so the designers and developers, they're like, no, we want to build on iOS first. And I'm like, no, guys. Like, first of all, two mistakes. One is the iPhone users are a little bit more affluent, right? They have a higher income. We're free TV. We're ad supported. Our users are most likely on Android. So there was a lot of like
kind of goes back to self-awareness.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, like we're not building this for you guys. Like you're not the target audience. And that was also, but at the end of the day, it was tough because we faced those challenges left and right because we would go to do deals with like an NBC, and you're talking about with executives that have high salaries and a high net worth, and they're trying to make a decision. Should I put my content in Pluto? And they're like, oh, we don't believe it. What do you mean it's ads? I don't like ads. So everyone takes their own opinion and kind of misses what actual consumers do, right? So we would work with a lot of these executives, our own employees, investors, and a lot of it was trying to convince them that no, this is look at the data. Like this is how consumers behave and what they watch and how they watch.
That's interesting because like a lot of lifestyle brands, we talk about how important authenticity is, and like you saying like you don't watch TV, but like you're strictly relying on the data, but you're not a lifestyle brand. So how different it is between like companies who have to heavily rely on authenticity to succeed.
But I don't necessarily. So like, let's say you're a founder of, a diaper company. Let's use the Honest Company as an example, right? They made Jessica Alba a co-founder, and she's now the face of it, and she's authentic to it, right? Because she has her kids, and she's telling them that I'm the founder, and I have these diapers, but the actual founder, Brian Lee, doesn't have to, I don't think he even had kids that age, or maybe, but the point I'm trying to make is...
Depends if it's forward-facing or not. That's what I think,
but even if it's forward-facing, like you could still be the Tony Hsieh, right? The man behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, and you yourself don't have to drink your own Kool-Aid, right?
Shout out Nick Swimmer, the unknown real founder of Zappos.
So you're saying that never hurt you when you went into these meetings?
Well, I didn't like lead the meeting with I don't watch TV.
Yeah.
But we definitely shifted the conversation from like, you guys aren't the audience. Like, you're not the target audience. They're like, how come we've never heard of you? I'm like, well, that means we're doing really good at marketing. Because if you've heard of us, then we're wasting dollars because you're not somebody who's going to watch us.
That was that was a gem right there.
That was one,
Outside the funnel. I like that right there. So all the no's, you finally get a yes for that money. That was that big turning point.
Yeah.
What was the turning point from when you started the company to the acquisition? Was it you getting X's rights? Is it getting, X person to curate a channel? What was that one turning point where that switch goes off and you're like, fuck this, we got that shit.
So you've heard the phrase product market fit, right? And
100%.
And product market fit is not just getting it right out the gate. It's constantly adjusting to the market. Over the 6 years that we've been building Pluto, so many things shifted and changed in the TV market, right? In the beginning, Pluto was made for web and mobile. And we quickly saw, because of Netflix, people started watching TV on their or internet-based TV on their TVs. Yeah. So people started, like Roku sticks started selling like crazy. Amazon Fire TV, smart TVs were becoming common. And instead of like casting from your phone or watching Netflix on your computer, you now just turn on your TV and you pick an app. So we adjusted to that market. We said, we need to be everywhere there are apps on TVs. And that was hard because literally, like right now, if you want to be in every mobile phone, you build for Android and iPhone, which is like 99% of the market. In order to be on everyone's TV, you have to build for 13 devices. Like we're talking about Vizio, Samsung, PlayStation, Xbox, Roku, Amazon, and the list goes on, right? So
That's when that cash on hand.
But
is relevant.
imagine having a 12-person engineer team and like you have to support 13 different platforms. That was a challenge, right? But you asked like what things happened in the company that made that shift. There wasn't one thing. There was a few. So one was we adjusted to this market of people actually consuming apps on TV. And imagine being one of the first iPhone apps. Like you would get a lot of downloads. There weren't many apps on like a Roku device, right? Or an Amazon Fire TV or a smart TV. There was like Netflix, Hulu, maybe a few others. But we were the first and biggest free one. So there's no barrier to entry, right? So people are like, they're opening the device and like, I don't want to pay for that. I don't want, oh, that one's free. Let me check it out. So right away, people got to like, we adjusted to this, to that market. Next thing that happened is people started to cut the cord, right? So you saw, this really didn't happen until about a few years ago where people started canceling their cable subscriptions. They said, it's too expensive. I don't want to pay $110 a month, right? And channels started to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So now when people sign up for cable TV, they didn't have 500 channels, maybe they had less, right? But what happened when that happened is two things. One is they started to look for alternatives that were free, which we came forward. We said, hey, we're free TV. The other is we found that content owners, people who put content on TV, started to have massive, massive libraries of content that had no place to go. It wasn't on Netflix. Maybe it was too old. Like, where do you watch like American Gladiators? It's not gonna be on TV. It's not gonna be on Netflix. It just sat on the shelf, right?
So you offer distribution.
So we came to them and said, look, we want to get your content and we want to put it on our platform. Because at that point, we only had short form videos. And we knew that long form was, like, we wanted to be TV. It's not going to be a bunch of 3-minute clips stitched together. We wanted movies and TV shows. We came to them and said, we want to get some movies and TV shows. They said, no, you have to like buy it from us because that's their business. We're like, no, we make money with ads. We'll share it with you. Whatever we make, we'll give you. And we keep some and like we do a rev share deal. A bunch of no's. Finally started saying yeses. And because we started generating a lot of revenue for them. And they're like, wow. So we have all this content. It's currently not making money. This company is taking it, put it on a platform, and they're writing us real checks because people are watching it. Let's give them more and more and better and better and newer and newer. And that's when really the cycle started, right? So we started to get better content. When you got better content, people watched more. When people watch more TV, they watch more ads, right?
More ads, more money.
When they watch more ads, we wrote bigger checks to content partners. They started giving us better content. When we got better content, they started to watch even more. We got even more ads, right? And we got into this cycle. And our CAC and CLV worked, right? Because our value proposition was come watch free TV, download this app. Like no barrier to entry, right? So we would convert users we didn't even have to target very precise. And people would download, they would watch, they would realize it's free. We had premium content and it just kept going and going. So we like going back to that product market fit, right? We adjusted to apps being on TV, and we adjusted to cord cutting, creating this search for an alternative, and also this influx of a ton of content that had no home for it that we made a home for.
So were you resurrecting anything where they were paying you?
No, it was always a rev share deal. We would that alone was hard to convince for somebody to take content. Like content owners are used to their content being licensed, right? And people just take their content, and the idea of rev share just didn't even exist. So we almost like created that opportunity, but they weren't paying us.
Let's talk about scaling. Let's talk about acquisition. So you're running your business. Are you guys looking to sell? Are you reaching out to people? Is it a partner that comes to you?
Yeah.
Let's hear about that process, and then get to probably one of the best days of your life.
So
top three days?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, top 3 for sure.
Top 3, yeah. There you go.
So there's always a saying that like good companies are bought, not sold, and that was definitely the case here. So I think when somebody's trying to sell their business, something is wrong. In a lot of cases, right? Because if something is going well and people in the industry know about you, you'll likely have a lot of conversations with people that are interested in what you're doing. We had a lot of conversations with people that are interested in what we're doing from a lot of major companies, right? But we weren't looking to sell. We never hired bankers to sell our company. It just wasn't the process. We were growing really fast, and our investors loved the growth. Our board loved the growth, and all our employees loved the growth. So one day we go to Viacom to do a content deal. And because they have amazing library of content that, isn't necessarily on TV anymore. And they said, we want to do a content deal. And they came back to us and said, look, we're not going to give you our content. We're actually interested in bringing our content directly to consumers through a platform. And you guys might be the platform we're looking to do this with.
Oh.
So they came to us with a term sheet that we brought to our board, and the board said, let's explore this. Let's see what it looks like. And after going through the process, it's like a two-sided diligence process, right? They're looking at they're turning over every rock and making sure your business is successful. Are they betting in the future? Is this going to last for a long time? How's the team? Everything like that. We're also doing diligence on them, saying
how valuable is their content that we want to
is this a right strategic partner, right? Because you hear all these horror stories that you get acquired by a big corporation, they fuck up your business and tank it. We knew we were growing like crazy. We wanted to build something strong, right? And I want the brand, that I came up with, that we came up with, to exist even after my exit. Right? I wanted to keep going, especially after there's nothing was in the way, right? So we wanted to make sure that is this a company that's going to be a good strategic partner? Not only is their content going to work, but are they going to fit within our vision of what we want to execute? And are they going to give us the resources necessary to execute? Once we realized that was the case, then we move forward with the deal. And to this day, they're such an amazing partner, because they're right when they came in and we did the deal, they said, look, you're another division of Viacom. You know what to do better than we do. We want to learn from you, and we want you to you tell us what you need. What resources do you need? How can we help you? They didn't start navigating our business, right? It was more, they knew that what we were doing worked, and they knew that they shouldn't be in their way. And Bob, who's the CEO, is an amazing CEO for actually seeing that. And that's one of the reasons now that Viacom and CBS merged, he's now at the helm of both companies.
How does your life change when that check gets written?
At first it was...
give me the real shit, bro. Don't give me any sugar-coated bullshit.
Yeah, so
that's a big fucking check.
So the deal closed in January of last year, and then we went through 3 months of approval by the FCC for antitrust, whatever they have to do it.
A lot of people came out from Russia and Maryland,
yeah.
maybe an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, what happened? No, but look, I think the real thing, the first thing I did was I told my parents, right? And I literally said, I was like, you guys are retiring early. I'm moving you out to LA. You're going to be close to me and the grandkids. This is everything you gave, to me. This is now me giving back. You're set.
That's fucking sick, dude.
Literally the first thing I did.
That might be a top 3 moment.
Yeah.
That's a good
I was
one.
gonna say, that should be
the
number
top
one.
3 moment.
Yeah, I
Gotta be
think
number
having
one
my
for me.
kids, selling the company, and then giving back to my family, those are
call.
by far my top 3 moments. And and it's not I didn't I was never a materialistic person. I'm very almost basic. The things I use the most, I like them to be nice. I like a nice bed, a nice house. I like a nice car, but I'm not going out there, and I've never bought the latest iPhone or the latest gadgets. I wasn't really I didn't go to floor seats at the Lakers. That wasn't my thing. You know what I mean? I worked, I didn't even take a proper vacation. I worked my whole life, 80, 90 hours since I was 15, or 16. But the first thing that I did was, one is I moved out of the place I lived in to get a better place.
His spot is stupid too. Stupid.
Yeah. I had to give something. The second thing I did is I took a vacation, and I've never taken a vacation. I've gone on trips. Yeah, but when you're going on trips and you're on email the whole time and on phone calls the whole time, even when I went on my honeymoon, I literally I bought it we went on a cruise. I bought an unlimited internet package. I was literally on the computer the whole day. She hated me, and
she hated you, but she loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went on a vacation for a month, and it was a vacation. I call it a vacation because I literally didn't answer one email, and I traveled the world. I went to all the countries I've never been to before. Literally went around the world, and that was the feeling of being not only seeing what you've always wanted to see, but being disconnected and almost setting your mind free. You're almost reversing aging in a way, right? You're living. Look at presidents, right? When they go in, they always show before and after pictures.
Yeah.
Here's what before 4 years. Here's after 4 years. Here's 8 years, and it's horrible. You never want to be president. I feel I Benjamin Button myself after that exit. All the stress went out the door. And like, it's like being on a golf course. It's just, everything is just free and clear.
Love it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So we already talked about kind of why he likes that piece. We're not going to get back into that. I want to know just, a lot of our, the family that watches this stuff, huge entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs. What's the best advice that you would give to just a young entrepreneur?
I think going back to that self-awareness line, you've got to put your ego aside. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking they need to like sell, and like, I need confidence. And confidence and ego are two very close things, right? And a lot of people who are confident actually have big egos, and that's why they think they're confident. But the problem is they actually don't have good self-awareness. And I think if you can master self-awareness, you can literally accomplish anything. Like literally anything, because knowing what you don't know and knowing your weaknesses, you can easily complement them with strengths from other people, other things you discover.
Is there any things you do to optimize that self-awareness? Like someone, for me, for example, like I'll have conversations with Jeff and be like, hey, what am I doing that you don't like that I'm doing?
Very honest.
Yeah. No,
very like that. We have the most transparent business relationship where I'm like, yo, dude, why the fuck are you doing this?
Yeah.
And he's like, you're a fucking schizophrenic idiot that can't even put together full sentences. You want our people fuck shit up.
Yeah.
So,
No, I do the same thing. And once again, I tell people like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. Like I'm dumb. Like, please like break it down for me. And even if they say it, like, I'm still don't get it, do it again. Like, because people learn in different ways. Right. And I've never been a good like learner from like teachers and me never really got along because I couldn't sit there in a lecture and like memorize. Like I would have to like take notes and rewrite them and like, you know what I mean? And so I would, sometimes for me to learn something new, somebody has to explain it to me multiple times and they could get frustrated, but I never go, okay, I get it. And I really don't get it. Like I'm always honest and genuine and true to myself. If I don't understand something, I don't understand something.
Since you are that chess player and you could see those moves moving forward, last question I want to ask you. Is there a brand out there right now? It could be in any category, product, it could be consumer product, it could be tech, anything. What one brand out there are you looking at and you're like, wow, this company is going to fucking dominate in the future? What's one brand?
Can it be Pluto TV? Because I mean, like honestly,
I'm excited to dig deeper into Pluto because it sounds very fucking good. You're a good salesman. I don't know. I gotta
look, I'm not selling. Like the
Yeah.
one, like I'm no longer in the company, right? I sold my equity in the company, but it's about to become a household name, and everyone's going to know about it, right? So imagine in like a year or two, if I'm sitting with you and say, I found it Hulu. Right now, if I told you that, you'd be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But that actually could be a valid statement when I say I found a Pluto. Right now, a lot of people are like, what is that? Some people know, some people don't. So
this guy's a really sharp, subtle salesman.
I'm not selling anyone.
Subtle salesman. Where can they find you? On social media, Instagram,
So
Facebook?
mostly Instagram, because who uses anything else these days? I'm at Ilya Never Sleeps.
Spell Ilya?
ILYA. And that's a brand right there. Ilya Never Sleeps. And because I always constantly work, even when I'm sleeping, I'll wake up with ideas and my mind's always on, except that vacation time I took.
Guys, we're 20 plus episodes deep and I've never done this yet, but for anybody listening that's an entrepreneur, you should probably really take another listen to this episode and tell more of your entrepreneur friends to listen to this.
I was gonna say, if
we
you're an
went fucking
entrepreneur,
granular in this bitch.
Yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, I highly recommend it. And if you haven't had the experience to like go deep into a business and what it takes to, just go deeper as an entrepreneur, this is definitely the episode for you.
Had fun. We canceled
good.
twice and now we're here.
I appreciate
you,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Thank you, man.